What is up, my friends on the internet? Back at it with another episode. This is Daily Cosworks, but before we get started, I am your host, Cosmo, and I'm gonna introduce you to the rest of the guys. First up, our cameraman. Hey, it's me, the camera guy. Next, let's go inside and meet the editor here. Hey, say hi to the people, man. Oh, hey, I'm the editor. On today's episode, we are yet again putting luggage on my Triumph Scrambler 900. Those of you who have been watching all the build series videos on this bike know that I installed the SW-Motech Legend Gear luggage, and I do in fact love it. I have their left-hand side saddlebag as well as their magnetic tank bag on the bike that you are sitting on right now. But when I originally bought this luggage, I also intended to run the Triumph factory rear locking trunk, just to have a secure place to lock things away, like if I don't want to bring my helmet into somewhere, yada yada yada. You understand the benefits of locking luggage, right? I wanted to run those two things together, but upon getting both of them to the house in person, I realized they cannot be ran together. They both share the exact same mounting points, and those mounting points do not allow enough space for both the things to be installed at the same time. In the future, I may try to modify one of them to make it all work, but for now, since I've been sitting on the Triumph luggage, I feel like I need to at least take the SW-Motech off for a day, install the Triumph luggage, and just see what it's all about. Just get it out of the box, see if it's actually pretty good. Because they don't work together, I've been running just the SW-Motech, but I want to kind of see if it's smarter to just run the Triumph factory stuff. So today we're going to install it. Let's see what it's all about right now. Here we have the SW-Motech Legends Gear stuff that I have on my Triumph Scrambler 900. I have the left-hand side bag in black on black. This is the larger of the two they make. And of course, their magnetic tank bag, also in the black on black. I believe they only make one size, but that's the one I have. A lot of you will leave comments asking me questions about the specific parts or gear I'm wearing or have on the bike. And sometimes I'm really late to answer those questions. I won't see the comment and I'll reply super late, and by then you've probably already made a purchase or found your answer somewhere else. And I don't mean to be a dick, I just sometimes miss them. So what I've started doing is there is a link in the description section of every single video to all of my stuff. A link to this exact bag, a link to this exact bag, a link to this seat, a link to the mirrors, a link to all the gear I wear on my body. It is all in the description and comment section of every single video. I am dropping it there for your ease. You can still ask me, but if you want a quicker answer, it's right there. First things first, let's take this bag off, and then I am gonna take the seat off so I can show you exactly how this bracketry mounts up and where our issue lies with running both of the products. As you can see here, this bracket attaches right here using these two holes, and there's paired holes right there. The other rear rack that I have is going to want to use all four of those holes, I believe, so that is promptly in the way. And then we attach right here behind the suspension. That is also a shared spot for the other luggage, so right in the way, right? The right side of the bike, perfectly fine, but the left-hand side of the bike, where all the magic is happening for the saddlebag, is right in the way of the other rack. So step one is going to be to get this bracket off. That way we have room for the new one. In the future, I'm going to try to figure out a way to make this not mount there. I don't know exactly how, but I'm going to try to find a way to make this work with the other bag. But first, let's get the other one on and deal with that later. So it is about 40 degrees outside right now, and I know that doesn't sound horribly cold to a bunch of you, but to this southern boy, that is very, very cold. So we're going to move this party to the workshop in the back. That way I can crank on the heater. Inside and toasty, let's go ahead and get those guys out. Those are both out, so now it's time to address back in there and get that dude out. All right, this is hard to show, but the view from the inside of the wheel well, we're gonna be removing that guy right there next. That is completely removed, so now we have space to fit that pile of stuff right there. Let's crack into those boxes. Set this aside because it's probably gonna go back on at some point. And we've got the trunk itself here. Pretty standard, like thermoplastic trunk. It does have a matching lock that will match the ignition key. Nothing else included in there. I already took the bag off because I was just curious about it, but actually I lied. There is some spacers in here. Yeah, but that is all for that box. Just the trunk. Let's get into the other one. This one I have not opened yet, so we'll get to that. One-handed. Extreme knife safety here, y'all. Okay. Whoa, there's just a bunch of loose screws in this box. All right. That is interesting. I don't think that's how this is supposed to be packaged. But yeah, I guess let me sort through this. I love that as I find a bunch of like loose screws, there's a quality control sticker here. Oh man, that is epic. All right, I'm gonna take stock of all of this and I'll be right back with you guys. I got all the screws from all around the box and got them in one bag together as they were probably intended to be. That is the base plate that the trunk will lock into, and here is that rack. As you can see here, these are those mounting points that I told you about. There's two on each side. Those were blocked by the last rack. So let's go ahead and get this on. I imagine it's gonna be pretty straightforward where those go to the 4 holes I said. Those go behind the suspension just like the old one. And then these are gonna mount this bracket. Let's do it. It slid down into place, super easy. Just kind of some preliminary looks at it. Nothing's actually attached, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw those 4 in next. Those 4 are in just finger tight. You probably don't want to tighten those down all the way because it might take a little bit of wiggling to get the ones that go in the back of the suspension lined up. So right now, just finger tight. We're gonna get those lined up next. So that is the piece of hardware that's gonna go in the back of the suspension where you saw me remove one earlier. But like I said, you got to put 2 of these in, 1 on each side, and my kit only has 1. I'm guessing that's because my bag was all spilled everywhere. The other one probably fell through a crack in the box and got lost in the mail. But luckily, we installed that other rack and still have the hardware from it. So I'll throw this one that was already in the bike back in the bike on the left-hand side and then use theirs for the right-hand side. Those inner ones are installed. I use theirs on this side, like I said, and then the one from the SW-Motech kit on that side. Those are still finger tight. So now I'm gonna go through with the wrench and just shore everything up. All 6 of those tightened down. Now let's get that base plate on there. So the base plate has this little guy on the bottom. You're gonna wanna pop that out. Right in there, there's a little spot where you can get a flathead in and just pry it a little bit and it'll pop that guy out like that. You want to do that to all 4 corners because that needs to go. And once that base plate's out the way, this guy lines up with the 4 holes in the rack for you to tighten in your hardware. So those little guys are in there. I'm gonna get the nuts on the bottom and torque all that down while just making sure everything is nice and centered. There are 2 pins there that kind of give you a general idea of where it's centered, so I'm gonna use those as my reference point. All right, I got that all snugged up. Nice and even, looks pretty good. It is an 8 on the top and a 10 on the bottom, which I love. I hate when they make both sides the same size wrench. This allowed me to tighten them up really easily. Just use the crisscross pattern like you always do so you don't stress it out. Now we're gonna replace that plate on top. That plate just pops back in, and then there are 2 little tiny holes in it. Those are set screws just to keep this in place, so I'm gonna put those in now. They came with the kit. They're just super small little screws. Set screws are in, itty bitty little dudes, but I tightened those down. And we're all good with the rack now. That is that. So I gotta run inside and get the lock for the trunk. When you buy your bike, the folder that comes with it should have a second key barrel in it. That is for this trunk. That key barrel will match your ignition key perfectly. So I'm gonna go find that paperwork, dig out that barrel, hopefully it's in there, and throw it in there so we can get this installed. All right, so we got this barrel here. I'm gonna pop the key in and then slot it down into there. I'm fairly certain you're supposed to have the key in when you pop it in, so I'm gonna do that now, and hopefully I'm right. Pushing it in with the key, popped right in, and now it functions as it should. And this should just slide right on. Maybe. No. Why you no stay on? There we go. A little bit of pressure. Pull it on. We are good. That boy is all on there. I'm gonna go ahead and pop the seat back on and then get it out of the building so we can go check this thing out in the sunlight. Alrighty, that is it all installed on the bike out in the sun. What do you guys think? I personally think the SW-Motech looks better, but this is probably going to function a lot better if we're being honest. Not only is it locking, it is just from the factory waterproof, and it will act as a backrest for a passenger. So a lot of pros there, a lot of reasons to run this luggage over the SW-Motech since you kind of have to pick. But yeah, let's go ahead and get the key in it so I can show you the function, because it is pretty cool. If you've ever run GV luggage, it's the exact same way. You got a key that goes in there. When you turn that, there's a button to push there and it opens up. This one is rounded at the top, so I do believe that I can fit a full face helmet in it, which is cool. And then it just locks down like that. There is a lower button there that is for releasing the whole thing from the bike. So let's see if I can do that one-handed here. Just push that button. Yep, that pulls right off. So you can pack it up, you can walk out into your hotel room, and then looking at it without that on, the bike actually looks pretty good. It doesn't ruin the lines of the bike all that much, and you can still use that platform. If you have like a dry bag or anything else you want to strap down, maybe just a little tool roll, that can go there if the mission doesn't call for something this big. But when it does, you know, you can just pop this thing on pretty easily. Let's see if I can do it one-handed. Yeah, just like that, super simple, and you've got waterproof locking storage. So honestly, this thing gets my seal of approval. Like I said, I still think the SW-Motech looks better, but this functions really well. You can't deny that one bit. All right, so let's go through the pros and cons. We'll start with the Triumph branded luggage here. The pros, it is bigger. It holds a lot more stuff, right? It is waterproof from the factory. It is locking. It gives the passenger a backrest, which is really nice if you're a passenger leaning back, not having to just like dangle, wondering if you're gonna fall off. That security is pretty cool. And the easy on and off. You guys saw you can take it on and off with one hand, and that's pretty tight. As far as cons go with this, the only one I can honestly think of is it's ugly. It kind of looks like it should be on the back of like a modern big twist and go scooter, which is totally fine. I like scooters, I think they're fun, but I don't think anybody's arguing that like a big plastic scooter is like attractive, you know? And this kind of looks like that. It looks like your standard scooter commuter trunk. It's actually called the commuter trunk, so that makes sense. But yeah, I would say there the pros outweigh the cons. And now like moving over into the SW-Motech, pros, it looks better for sure. I don't know that it has any other pros over this, really. Just really like, it looks better, and that's just really a big one, I guess, but it does look better. But cons, it holds less. It requires that inner bag to be waterproof, and then the outer shell still gets wet because the waterproof bag is on the inside, not over the outside. It's not locking. It does come off fairly easy, but it is a little bit more finicky than this. So I would say for this one, if you're going pros and cons like my mom always told me to do, the pros outweigh the cons with this one, and the cons kind of outweigh the pros with the SW-Motech one. So on paper, this is better, but obviously we don't live in a really realistic and sensible world, right? If we were really sensible people, we wouldn't be riding motorcycles, we'd be driving Toyota Camrys or something. So I do think the SW-Motech has a lot going for it simply because of its looks. It fits the lines of the bike better, it matches the tank bag really well, it's just a good package, and for that kind of basic commuter, it does like really do the trick. On and off fairly easy, holds a decent amount of stuff, can be waterproof-ish. There are pros there, but like I said, if we're going by the numbers on paper, I think this wins. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I don't think anybody's gonna disagree about some of that stuff, but somebody might. So just drop your comments below. Let me know which one you would pick based on those pros and cons. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit subscribe. If you like the Scrambler content, hit a thumbs up for me. And last but not least, go out and have a fantastic day because you deserve it. See you on the next one. Peace.